Okay, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on which part of the continent you are, whether you are in the sunny Caribbean side or you're in the sunny African side, or maybe you're somewhere in the middle in the Atlantic or even in North America. Welcome to our CWIT Roundtable series, Caribbean Women in Trade or Trade Roundtable series. This is the third one that we are having. The theme and the topic for today is exploration of African Caribbean trade for SMEs getting started. And I am excited. Are you all excited? I hope you are. Can I see some emotions, some emojis? A thumbs up. I'm seeing some thumbs up. So if persons could tell me where you are coming from in the chat, that will be really great. If you could introduce yourself, let us know what countries you are tuned in from. Also, if you have started to do any business in terms of trade within the Caribbean or in Africa, any markets that you're exploring, it will be good to share that because this is an opportunity to network and get to know each other. Because this is what CWIT is there for. So I'm seeing someone coming from Jamaica. Gaynell is from Jamaica. Great. I see Curacao in the house. Welcome. Thank you so much for connecting from Curacao. We're just waiting to see Barbados is here. Don't worry, Barbados, you will get a lot in 30 minutes. So you're here in good time. We have Ghana, wonderful. We have New York in the house, Washington, D.C., Jamaica, etc., Guadeloupe. So thank you all so much for joining. So keep those introductions coming in the chat as we get ready to start today's program. I am Latoya Roberts-Summers. I am a member of the Caribbean Women in Trade, and I'm based in Trinidad and Tobago, and I will be your moderator for today's session. Today's session is done in collaboration with Diaspora Africans in Trade and Investment, DATI, and we also have OWIT partners from OWIT in Ghana, OWIT Ghana, and also OWIT Nigeria in the house today. So before our partners introduce themselves, I will ask the president of CWIT, Michelle Lo Chotong, to give some brief introductory greetings on behalf of CWIT Caribbean.
Hi, thank you, Latoya, and thanks for such a warm welcome, everyone. Welcome to this great event here this afternoon. It's the third session of the Caribbean Women in Trade Roundtable series, and I want to say it's a real pleasure to be here to welcome you, and especially our esteemed colleagues from the Diaspora Africans in Trade and Investment Organization. OWIT International chapters Nigeria and Ghana are represented, and the EOG group as well. So welcome. As the new president of CWIT, I am particularly pleased that we are having this conversation today. At CWIT, we believe that women in trade need more than information. We need relationships, we need access to markets, practical knowledge, and opportunities to do business. And that is why conversations like this are so important. There is a growing opportunity for stronger trade and investment between Africa and the Caribbean, and we are seeing greater interest from both regions in finding ways to connect and to do business and in new markets as well. So today is really about moving, I hope, beyond the conversation about what is possible and beginning to ask, how do we actually make it happen? I hope that today's sessions and its discussions provides new insights, new connections, and perhaps the beginning of new opportunities. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for being here, and welcome to this session today, everyone, on behalf of CWIT.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And I think we are making connections today. So to continue to bridge the gap from the Caribbean over to the African market, we would like the representative of OWIT Ghana, is Alexandra, available to bring some brief remarks.
I don't think she's there.
Okay, so if the representative for OWIT Ghana is not here, I will bring Dr. Blessing on, who's the representative from OWIT Nigeria at this time, to bring some opening remarks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Blessing Irabo Oza, President, Organization of Women in International Trade. I bring you warm greetings from OWIT Nigeria. As a leading BSO and a trade support institution, OWIT Nigeria has empowered women, youth, and SMEs through entrepreneurship to build competitive and sustainable business through capacity building, export readiness, program trade facilitation. Like I mentioned earlier, we just came in from Namibia to explore business opportunities for our women, and some MOUs and deals were signed during that trip to Namibia. Market access, investment promotion, and strategic partnership, because we believe in OWIT. When we work together, we work far, and leaving no woman behind. With the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, Africa has a great potential with a population of 1.2 billion people. During this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Blessing, for that greetings. Yes, she is here and she will be delivering more information shortly to all of us who are eager to know more about the African continent and getting in that market. So thank you so much to the two presidents of the Caribbean Women in Trade and also for OWIT Nigeria for those introductory remarks. And we are going to get into the presentations today. Today, we have three presenters that are going to deliver great information to you about, when persons sign up for this webinar, I'm sure persons were interested to know, why should I consider African Caribbean trade? How do I get started? And who can help me to succeed in this venture? And you're at the right place, because this is the purpose of this webinar, to share information about how could we engage more with African Caribbean trade. And our first presenter will be Mr. Nnamdi Ezra. He's the president and CEO of DATI, and he will present on why African Caribbean trade matters now and the opportunities. But before he comes on the floor to give his remarks, I would like to read a brief bio. So he's the president and CEO of Diaspora Africans in Trade and Investment, a nonprofit organization dedicated to strengthening trade and investment ties between Africa and its global diaspora. Through advisory services, matchmaking, capacity building, and education, DATI equips diaspora entrepreneurs, civic groups, and government partners with knowledge and tools needed to navigate the opportunities in the African market and also the continent's complex investment landscapes. He holds a bachelor's in international relations from Johns Hopkins University and is a Juris Doctor from UC Berkeley. So Nandi, the floor is all yours to give some advice and tips on how we can get to do more trade with Africa.
Latoya, thank you. Hopefully you can all hear me. Members of the Board of Directors of the Caribbean Women in Trade, CWIT members, presidents of the Ghanaian and Nigerian chapters of the Organization of Women in International Trade, OWIT, and OWIT members, distinguished entrepreneurs from across the Caribbean and Africa, partners in government, finance and development, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nnamdi Kalu Ezera, president of the Diaspora Africans in Trade and Investment, DATI. And it is both an honor and a pleasure to have been invited to speak with you today about the import and opportunities for Caribbean and African trade and investment. While the Caribbean and continental Africa are two distinct regions in the world, separated by the Atlantic Ocean, they are inexorably bound by their peoples, history, culture, and creativity. The Caribbean is an integral part of Africa's global diaspora, but for far too long, Africa and the Caribbean have looked outward for trade, investment, and development partnerships. The declaration by the African Union that the African diaspora is officially Africa's sixth region is a recognition that people of African descent living outside the continent are a crucial part of Africa's collective identity and future. This declaration also seeks to mobilize the African global diaspora population, inclusive of the Caribbean region, which represents a significant consumer base, knowledge network, and capital pool that can be tapped for bilateral trade, skills transfer, and investment. In recent years, Afreximbank has launched a diaspora strategy which redefines intra-Africa trade to include the global African diaspora. Utilizing a regional hub in Barbados and the annual Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum, Afreximbank is mobilizing investments, leveraging remittance-backed financing, and fostering commercial ties between Africa and the Caribbean. Not to be outdone, the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, is also keen on engaging Africa's global diaspora as a means of achieving its priority goal of enhancing intra-Africa trade. Additionally, over 40 African governments have instituted dedicated diaspora engagement policies and/or ministries. In terms of trade, Africa is home to the world's fastest growing markets, and the Caribbean also offers strategic access to value chains in the Americas. From agriculture to energy, and from tourism to creative industries, these economies are complementary. Africa produces what the Caribbean imports. The Caribbean excels in servicing what Africa increasingly demands. This is not theory. This is opportunity. With regard to investment, Caribbean investors should be exploring African markets in renewable energy, fintech, agribusiness, and tourism infrastructure, to name a few. Africa offers scale, youthful demographics, and some of the highest returns on investment anywhere in the world. Meanwhile, African investors should be discovering the Caribbean's strengths in tourism, logistics, and financial services. It is clear, therefore, that some of our greatest opportunities lie with each other. The Caribbean and Africa represent markets of more than 1.5 billion people combined, rich in natural resources, talent, innovation, and cultural capital. When Africa and the Caribbean trade with each other, invest in each other, and build with each other, we unlock value that has been dormant for decades. While opportunities exist for Afro-Caribbean trade and investment, barriers to entry and advancement still exist for SMEs.
Apologies about that. You can continue, Namdi.
It's muted. Namdi, I think you need to
Namdi?
unmute yourself. Yes.
Yes, we would have probably lost him. Namdi, can you unmute?
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Sorry. Where did I lose you? I was talking about the issues and challenges of succeeding in international trade, whether in access to financing, networking, market knowledge, or capacity building. These are frequently beyond the ken of individual entrepreneurs. Thus, women entrepreneurs often seek the assistance of organizations such as CWIT. So today, in addition to the networking, technical assistance, and support CWIT provides, I hope to inform you a little bit about Diaspora Africans in Trade and Investment, DATI, a partner organization which seeks to foster economic development in Africa and its global diaspora through increased trade and investment, and which would provide additional assistance to women and entrepreneurs in the Caribbean and Africa through its expertise, networks, capacity building, and education. More specifically, DATI seeks to engage and inform Africa's global diaspora and diaspora-related private sector entrepreneurial, civic, and government organizations, as well as their counterparts on the African continent, about the myriad opportunities and resources for trade in goods and services amongst them. In addition, DATI seeks to inform and guide them through complex investment landscapes in Africa and the diaspora. While sharing trade and investment information through business matchmaking is important, it is often insufficient to achieve the full potential for trade and investment between Africa and its diaspora. Successful deals also require an understanding and capacity to navigate the numerous opportunities and impediments inherent in trade and investment. Thus, DATI employs 4 related lines of effort: business matchmaking to enhance complementarity, capacity building to navigate barriers to trade and investment, advisory services to determine trade and investment policies as well as private sector strategies, and education to inform trade and investment opportunities. An integral part of DATI's Continental Africa Network is its historical partnership with the umbrella organization Africa Women and Youth Empowerment Group, OWIT, that included the U.S. Department of Commerce, OWIT, the African Women Entrepreneurship Program, AWEP, in collaboration with international agencies such as the International Trade Center and the AFCFTA, as well as other Africa business organizations. Between 2022 and 2025, with significant planning and participation by OWIT International and its chapters, OWIT engaged over 1,000 women and youth entrepreneurs and business organizations across Africa through capacity building workshops and programs designed to improve their ability to trade and attract investment both within Africa and between Africa and the US. Thus, through OWIT becomes an integral part of DATI. Both CWIT and the Caribbean region would be a natural extension and beneficiary of a DATI partnership. Opportunities. There exist a plethora of trade opportunities in many sectors between Africa and the Caribbean. Allow me to list just a few. In agriculture and food security, Africa's large-scale production of staples, rice, cassava, maize, and specialty crops, cocoa, coffee, and spices align with Caribbean import needs. For example, ackee fruit grows in Ghana, but it is not consumed there. However, it has a big market in the Caribbean as Jamaica's national dish, ackee and saltfish. Caribbean expertise in niche products, fruits, rum, sugar derivatives can find new markets in Africa. In energy and natural resources, Africa's oil, gas, and critical minerals offer supply opportunities for Caribbean countries and Caribbean industries, and Caribbean renewable energy companies can export expertise to African markets, transitioning to wind and solar. In tourism, Caribbean customer service and hotelier know-how, franchise hotels, both boutique and international, diaspora cultural tourism, African airlines expanding routes to the Caribbean and vice versa. Under creative industries, music, film, fashion, both regions have global cultural influence. Co-production agreements, talent exchanges, and distribution partnerships could be had. In sports, the expertise and experience in coaching and sports academies could be exchanged. Under healthcare and pharmaceuticals, Africa's growing pharmaceutical manufacturing capacity can supply Caribbean markets, and Caribbean medical training institutions can partner with African health systems. In cosmetics, shared issues among continental and diasporan Africans in skin and healthcare, such as hyper and hypopigmentation, eczema, hair stress, growth, and breakage, are positively remedied or managed by natural butters, oils, and powders grown or compounded in Africa. Okay, this doesn't have to be reflective of personal knowledge, but African entrepreneurs have incorporated time-tested and natural products, including African black soap, Rasul clay, Nila powder, Chebe powder, Marula oil, Ethiopian butter, shea butter, avocado butter, coconut oil, and argan oil into their cosmetics line. The demand for these products in the African diaspora supersedes the Caribbean, reflecting a pathway to the Americas. In addition to trade, opportunities in Africa for Caribbean investors include renewable energy, Africa needs over $70 billion annually in new energy investments, and Caribbean firms already have expertise in solar microgrids, wind energy, energy storage, and climate resilient infrastructure. Fintech and digital payments. Africa is the world leader in mobile money adoption. Caribbean investors can enter digital marketing or digital banking, remittance platforms, as well as blockchain-based identity and payment systems. In agribusiness, high return opportunities exist in food processing, cold chain logistics, commercial farming, packaging, and export services. In tourism, real estate, and hospitality, urbanization and tourism growth create demands for hotels, mixed-use developments, student housing, and logistics parks, to name a few. Transportation and logistics, Caribbean investors can support port modernization, shipping routes, and air cargo expansion. In the creative economy, Africa's entertainment market is booming. Ventures could include film studios, music distribution platforms, sports academies, and fashion manufacturing. In the aforementioned cosmetics, potential exists to finance expansion, refining, and aggregation of existing cosmetics companies. Finally, let us trade more, let us invest more, and let us build more. Africa and the Caribbean are not distant cousins. We are, in truth, potential strategic partners. And when we choose each other, we choose a future of shared strength, shared growth, and shared destiny. The United Nations estimates the trade potential of Africa at $3.4 trillion. Today, we stand at a defining moment for Africa and the Caribbean, two regions bound by their peoples, history, culture, and creativity, should now also be bound by shared prosperity. Allow me to reiterate my thanks to CWIT and OWIT, and to ask you to reach out to join our DATI network or partner with us through datiglobal.com. You can also follow us on social media. LinkedIn is DATI spelled out, and Instagram is dati.global. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Nnamdi. What an inspiring presentation. I hope persons are taking notes of all the opportunities he have listed. And at the end of the 3 presentations, we will have a Q&A segment. So keep your notes and your questions, and we will get to it later. Joining the discussion today, we have Alexandra now and available from OWIT Ghana. So we will give that opportunity for her to deliver remarks on behalf of her organization. Alexandra?
Hi, yes, thank you so much. I heard the name, I wasn't too sure. Anyway, please, am I loud and clear?
Yes, you are. We can hear you.
Okay. Warm greetings from Ghana, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to the 3rd session of CWIT Trade Roundtable series. My name is Alexandra Prempe, and I have the honor of serving as the president of Organization of Women International Trade, OWIT Ghana. On behalf of OWIT Ghana, I would like to warmly welcome our distinguished panelists, our partners from Caribbean Women in Trade, CWIT, OWIT Nigeria, Diaspora African in Trade and Investment, DATI, and every participant joining from across Africa, the Caribbean, and beyond. At OWIT Ghana, we are committed to empowering women and businesses to participate meaningfully in international trade. We provide a platform for networking, knowledge sharing, mentorship, capacity building, and strategic partnership that help businesses grow beyond their local markets. Our members represent a wide range of sectors, including agriculture, agribusiness, manufacturing, cosmetics, and beauty, as well as fashion, technology and logistics, and art and crafts, and tourism services. Although businesses are diverse, we are united by common goal to expand opportunities through international trade. Despite the enormous potential that exists between Africa and the Caribbean, many entrepreneurs, particularly SMEs and women-led businesses, continue to face significant barriers. Accessing new markets can be challenging due to limited market information, financial constraints, regulatory requirements, and logistics. And it's difficult in building trusted businesses network across the borders. This is exactly why conversations like today's are so important. They create the opportunity to connect, learn from experts, and exchange experiences, build relationships that can lead to real business partnerships. The Africa and African Caribbean regions have so much to offer each other, from agricultural products, processed food to fashion, beauty products, and professional services, technology, and cultural industries. There are many opportunities for businesses to collaborate, export, and grow together. With initiatives such as African Continental Free Trade Area, ASCFTA, and stronger engagement with our Caribbean counterparts, this is an exciting time for SMEs to begin exploring cross-regional trade. Today's session is designed to answer three important questions. Why should I consider African Caribbean trade? How do I get started? And who can help me succeed? I encourage everyone to actively participate, ask questions, and make the most of the networking session. The connection to make today could become tomorrow's business partners. Thank you so much once again for joining, and we look forward to productive discussion and wish everyone engaging and impactful session. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Alexandra, and thank you for the support of OWIT Ghana for being here along with your membership. We appreciate your inputs into the discussion. And you can discuss more about OWIT Ghana in the networking sessions that we'll have after the presentations. At this time, we'll turn to the second presentation, which will be done by Dr. Blessing Irabo Oza. She is an international trade expert and business development strategist, and she's also from OWIT Nigeria. She will speak about how do I get started. And before she presents, I'd just like to read a brief bio. She's a highly accomplished business development strategist, trade and MSME consultant, also an executive coach with over 15 years of experience advancing enterprise growth, market access, and institutional capacity building across Africa and global markets. She's the CEO of Blizomo International Limited, and she has designed and delivered many development programs that strengthen competitiveness and export readiness for more than 1,000 MSMEs. So that means she's been on the ground working a lot. She has led many international trade missions, worked with executive delegations and high-level investment forums across Africa, Europe, North America, and even the Middle East. So at this point in time, we'll welcome Dr. Blessing to the spotlight to deliver her remarks.
Thank you so much. I don't know if I have somebody to share my screen, but if there is none, I will just go on. Today, I'll be speaking on how do we get started. So Good afternoon, good evening, distinguished guests, our Caribbean partners, CWIT, which is the Caribbean Women in Business, OWIT, Organization of Women in International Trade, representative of governments, trade support institution, women entrepreneurs, youths, innovators, business leaders, joining us from across Africa and the Caribbean. It is indeed a privilege for me to join in today's important discussion on building stronger commercial ties between our two regions, which is the African and the Caribbean. Please, you can take it to the next slide. There have been many conversations about African-Caribbean relationship, which has begun with a shared history, like the first presenter has mentioned, in terms of culture and heritage. These connections are important, but today, I just want to invite us to begin with something equally powerful. And what is that? Business. The question is no longer, can African and the Caribbean trade? History has already answered that. Next slide, please. The real question before us today is, how do we start immediately, because we've wasted more time, and also profitably? How do we transform goodwill into business opportunity? How do we translate dialogues into commercial partnership? Because there has been a lot of dialogue that has been going on for a while, if you had listened to when Mr. Nnamdi presented. And how do we transfer our shared history and shared prosperity? Because trade today is no longer simply about exporting products. It is about solving problems, creating value, building partnership and driving innovation, and connecting businesses to markets that create sustainable wealth. Today, African and Caribbean stand at a defining moment. The global economy is changing. Supply chains are being reconstructed. Businesses are searching for reliable partners. Consumers demand a sustainable products. They are also changing. Governments are looking for resilient value chain. The present has unprecedented opportunities for both Caribbean and the African region, not to mainly trade with one another, but to build economic partnership that is globally competitive. Before discussing, I would like to start that we must first understand where we stand today, but I wouldn't go too detailed into it because the first speaker has talked about it, so I will just run through it. African and Caribbean, they present more than a population of 1.5 billion people, a rapid growing consumer market, abundant natural resources, dynamic entrepreneurs, expanding digital economics, and a numerous investment potential. Africa is home to the world's youngest population, which you all know, while the Caribbean occupies one of the most strategic geopolitical positions connecting the North American, Latin Africa, and Europe. Yet, despite these strengths, trade between African and Caribbean remains far below its true potential. According to studies by Afrexim, an international trade center, which is ITC, less than 6% of the existing trade potential between both regions has not been realized, even though an estimated 2.1 billion in additional trade can be unlocked over the next few years through stronger business partnership, investment, and value addition. What does this tell us? It tells us a story about something important. The challenge is not lack of opportunity. The challenge is lack of commercial connection. The Caribbean remains one of the world's most largest food importing region, while many countries importing between 80 to 90% of the food they eat. At the same time, Caribbean governments are investing heavily in agribusiness, renewable energy, pharmaceutical, logistics, digital transformation, climate resilience, blue economic as part of its economic diversification. Africa, on the other hand, has abundant agricultural resources, one of the world's fastest growing entrepreneurial population, expanding manufacturing capacity, thriving in creative industry, rich natural resources, growing pharmaceutical, rapidly developing innovative hub, and the world's largest free zone trade area through the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. These strengths are not competing, they are complementary. The opportunities are obvious. The challenge is connecting supply with demand. The opportunities are not simply trading goods. It is building an integral value chain that creates jobs, it attracts investment, and improves prosperities on both sides of the Atlantic. For me, what are the first rules? I said, for me, my first rule will be don't export product, export solution. Instead of asking, what can I sell? Have you asked yourself, what problem can I solve? Successful international businesses do not chase markets. They solve problems. Consumers does not just buy products. They buy quality. They buy consistency. They buy innovation. They buy reliability, and above all, they buy trusts. And we've been able to build that trust. Why are you producing food, developing softwares, and designing fashion?
I know that.
Offering logistics,
paper.
services, or providing.
Apologies, just a minute. Can Ayana unmute your mic?
Okay.
Yeah, because somebody's mic is on.
No, just ask me, don't go back. Don't make me keep you back. I already keep you back. Just tell me.
Apologies, 1 minute. We'll get it muted.
Okay.
The success does not just depend well on how markets need. So I listed like 6 sector, but I'm not going to run through the sector because Nandi mentioned part of it. I just wrote a sector. One of the sectors I have looked into is the agribusiness and food processing. This has remained one of the biggest opportunity for us. The Caribbean presents growing demand for this product. So I will send the slide. Number 2 was the natural cosmetics and wellness. And global consumers are increasingly demanding natural and sustainable and ethical sourced product. African offers all these things. The Caribbean contributes to coconut-based products and all that. Like I said, I was just going to name it. I'm not going to speak on it because it has been spoken extensively on by listing them. The number 3 for me is the fashion and creative industry. African has become globally recognized for its textile, leather, handmade accessory, cultural fashion. The Caribbean brings world-renowned strengths in music, festival tourism, and the creative industry is one of the fastest growing sector in the world. So for me, together, African and the Caribbean poses extraordinary cultural assets capable of creating global recognized brand when they work together. Number 4 is the renewable energy and the green business. Across the Caribbean, governments are investing strategically in solar energy, energy efficiency, and climate resilience. African too is rapidly expanding renewable energy solutions through innovative entrepreneur and private sector investment. This creates opportunity for both countries in the solar technology, clean energy service, waste recycling, circular economy business, sustainable packaging, climate smart agriculture, carbon reduction, environmental consulting. Sustainability is no longer optional. It's becoming a comparative advantage for business seeking international markets. Number 5 for me is the pharmaceutical space. Healthcare continues to expand across both regions. So the Caribbean is investing in pharmaceutical manufacturing and natural health products. Africa possesses medicinal products, biodiversity, research institute, and expanding pharmaceutical industry. Together, opportunities are existing in joint manufacturing, ingredient sourcing, research partnership, herbal medicine, medical supply chain. Health is not only a social priority, it is a growing commercial opportunity. The last one for me, because I listed 6, is the digital trade, logistics, and business services. Not every international business begins with shipping container. Some begins with a laptop. Both African and Caribbean are expanding rapidly through the digital transformation. It creates opportunity for us, for both regions in consulting, education, ICT, software, business sourcing, and all that. So the digital trade will help us reduce costs while we are building a long-term commercial relationship as well. Equally important is the logistic. Efficient logistic is the bridge that turns opportunity into trade. Without reliable shipping, warehousing, custom system, and supply chain, businesses cannot compete. So this creates opportunity for us too in freight forwarding, custom brokers, warehousing, cargo consolidation, maritime transport, cold chain logistics, digital logistics platform. For many entrepreneurs, the first international trade opportunity might begin with exporting knowledge, technology, or professional expertise before exporting physical goods. And talking to how do I get started, because this is where I really want to concentrate. I had listed 5 steps. And what are these 5 steps? Knowing the opportunity is important, but opportunities alone do not build businesses. Execution does. Many businesses fail not because they have poor products, but it is because they lack a clear market strategy. Entering point. International trade is not one-time transaction. It is a process of where you prepare, relationship building, and continuous improvement. I would now like to share the 5 practical steps that I think every entrepreneur, SME, and investors can begin with. Step 1, you have to research one market, not 20. That is the best way to start. You have to understand its regulation. What are the buyers and demand? Do not enter market. Do not enter every Caribbean country or every African country at the same time, because I've seen these mistakes with a lot of SME. You want to enter the Caribbean market and you're already targeting 1, 2, 3 countries, which is really not a good way for you to start. Every country has its own consumer preference, import regulation, standard, and business culture. So the first thing you do, you research what products and services are in demand in this country. Who are their major buyers? What certification are required? What pricing is competitive, so you have to research pricing. Which distribution channels is available for you to use? What cultural preference should you understand? It is very important. Knowledge will reduce the risk for you from losing businesses and starting on the wrong footing. Market intelligence will create competitive advantage for you. Successful international business do not guess, they prepare. Step 2 is that you have to choose one product or services for you as a beginner. You have to build excellence at one product before you expand. Do not try to expand 20 products at the same time. I work with SMEs, and this is what I always make them to understand. Choose one product or one service. You have to perfect it, improve your quality, strengthen your branding. You have to develop attractive packaging, because for anybody who wants to work with you or when your product gets into the shelf, it is the packaging that attracts them. You are not there to tell them the potency of the product or what this product is all about. So it is the product that attracts them. You have to ensure consistency, that the same quality of product that you have taken out the first time will continue to be the same product. Please always meet international market standard. Remember, your reputation travels beyond your product too. One successful product can create a lot of many opportunity. Step 3, meet buyers before you ship. You can have your conversation with buyers and agree before you start to do your shipping. Relationship build trade, trade mission, and you can do this through trade mission, business to business meeting, trade fairs, investment forum, chamber of commerce, business platforms like the OWIT and the Caribbean Women in Trade Business Network, digital platform, professional association that I've mentioned. This platform help business identify genuine buyers so that you don't lose money. You must understand market expectation. You must establish long-term commercial relationship. People buy from businesses they trust. In international trade, relationship often become your greatest competitive advantage. For me, the step 4 will be prepare for international business. For you to prepare, this is where your confidence begins. Packaging, standard prices, documentation, reliability, but today's businesses must prepare beyond export. You must understand logistics and freight option, custom produce procedures, digital payment system. You must know the kind of digital payment system that needed to be used. Trade finance, export insurance, intellectual property protection, contract and dispute resolution if there is an issue. Now, ESG requirement has been added and sustainability. A good product without proper preparation may never reach the customers they deserve. Preparation will reduce you cost, it will reduce you delay, and it will increase your profitability. The last step, which I think, is to think partnership, not just transaction, which is step 5. The future belongs to businesses that can build value together, which I mean value chain together. You have to move beyond simply buying and selling. You have to think about joint venture. Like I will use a case from where we just came from, Namibia. One of the businesses, they want, both of them are cosmetics manufacturing company. Instead of this one pushing their product, they decided to go into a joint venture together by registering one company where the both companies can work and have a distributing channels to distribute their products the same in the both countries. Joint manufacturing is another that works perfectly. Technology transfer, contract manufacturing. You might want to do contract manufacturing. Instead of you going to set up factory in the other country, you might think of the option of contract manufacturing. You might think of the option of franchise opportunity, investment opportunity, distribution agreement, research collaboration, innovation ecosystem. The strong businesses of the future will not work alone. You have to build strategy together. So that is why you have to build partnership across the region. What are the biggest mistakes that we all make? Many African business and many Caribbean businesses, they make the same mistake. They try to sell immediately. Successful international businesses, they listen first. They understand the market. They understand the customer. They adapt the product, adapt the service. You build trust. You deliver consistency. Then scale. International trade is not a spirit. It is a long-term investment. Build on credibility. My challenge to the both continent, which is to African and Caribbean, that as I conclude, allow me to leave us with one challenge, not to African alone, but to the Caribbeans, but also to all of us as partners that are building a strong economic future. Africans should not simply see Caribbean as another export destination. The Caribbean too should not see Africa as another supplier. Instead, what do? We should see each other as a strategic business partners. Neither African nor the Caribbean should remain at the lower end of global value chain. Together, we must create value. We must create innovation. We must create, together we must build, we must manufacture together. We must invest. We must commercialize our idea. Together, we must build global competitive brand. Together, we must strengthen our logistics. Together, we must embrace the digital transformation. Together, we must unlock opportunities in blue economy, renewable energy, healthcare, the creative industry, and professional service. Most importantly, together we must empower our women, youth, and SME to become active participants in international trade, not just for them to be beneficiary. The future of African-Caribbean trade will not be built by governments alone. It will be built by entrepreneurs, investors, manufacturers, innovators, financial institutions, trade support organizations, logistics providers, technology companies, and visionary leaders who are willing to collaborate. A call to action. For me, how do we start? We might start by changing our mindset for competitiveness, to collaborate, from exporting commodity to creating value, from isolated business to integrated regional value chain, from occasional transaction to a long-term partnership, from simply attending conference to signing deals, building businesses, and I hope this can happen here while we work together. When you leave this meeting today, I encourage you to make 3 commitments. Commit to 1 new business relationship with a partner from the other region. Commit to exploring 1 new market opportunity before the end of the year. Commit to taking 1 practical solution, whether it is improving your product, registering your business for export, attending a trade mission, embracing a digital, or seeking an investment. Remember, every successful international business starts with 1 decision to start. African-Caribbean trade conversation is not about possibility, it is about execution. Entrepreneurs who will succeed will not necessarily be the biggest, but the future belongs to businesses that are willing to build partnership before product, relationship before revenue, value before volume. Let us move from conversation to contract. Let us move from networking to strategic. Let us move from idea to investment. Let us move from potential to prosperity. Let us build an African-Caribbean trade corridor that creates wealth, job, innovation. As the 2 regions connected by history, let us become 2 regions united by enterprise, innovation, and shared prosperity. The time to start is not tomorrow. The time to start is now. Thank you. God bless African. God bless the Caribbean. May our partnership continue to flourish for generations to come. And thank you for this opportunity for the CWIT and OWIT and every other partner here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Blessing, for that presentation. I heard people in the chat already asking if they will have access to the presentation. Yes, we will be able to share some information post this webinar, and there will be a networking breakout session shortly after the last presentation that you can have more one-on-one in-depth conversation as needed. We do have our last presenter to take the screen today, and this is Mr. Sebastian Celestine. He's the co-founder and CEO of EO Group, and he will be presenting on unlocking African-Caribbean agribusiness opportunities, licensing, and startup capital. And before he presents, I'll just read a very brief bio because time is going for us. He is the chairman and co-founder of Entrepreneurs of Greatness, where he leads global initiatives to promote inclusive entrepreneurship and sustainable development in undervalued communities. He focuses on building portfolios through B2B and B2G solutions that accelerate hypergrowth in high potential regions across the Greater Caribbean, and specifically he's been working in West Africa. He is a Caribbean ambassador for SeedStar, and he continues to strengthen entrepreneurial ecosystems and advance impact technology sectors throughout the region. So Sebastian, I will turn over to you for your presentation.
Thanks for the introduction. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
So perfect. You did the intro for myself, so I don't need to do it again. So I will start with a question, and I want you to think about your own business or own country. You have to ask it. Have you ever bought a bottle of hot sauce, a bag of cassava flavor, a jar of shea butter, and noticed that instead of being labeled made in your region, in the Caribbean, in Africa, they're being labeled made in Europe, in the US, Asia, using immigration conversions. But we're seeing a lot that our regions, you can hear me well. will stop raining around me and that's
Sebastian, is it okay if you could stop moving a little bit because there's a bit of distortion on the mic, but
okay.
you can continue.
I was trying to keep it close to me, but it's raining around me
Okay.
to make sure you can't move it. So in the region, was a kind we grew the resources, we grew the classifier, we do the paper. We obviously the shameless, but the product on the shelf at the end is the one, the brand, the barcode, the premium price tag was finished, packaged, and sold by someone else, some workers. And for us, it's not bad luck. It's a system that is working like that and that been running for a very long time. And so today, for example, in the Caribbean and in Africa, what we see is that roughly 10 cents of every dollar of value spent by the end consumers from valuing their own agricultural products are getting back to the producer and the local processor. And the other 90 cents are going to processing margin, branding, distribution, pharmaceutical, nutraceutical derivative flow out to Europe, to Asia, to the US, along trade routes that were literally designed during the colonial era to move raw materials out and finished produce in. And so what we see in these regions is we see this value get out. And for us today, the question, as it's been presented before, is not really, is there an opportunity between Africa and the Caribbean, but really what has been stopping us from capturing the value and what is the key to unlock that? The perspective that we have at EOG, Entrepreneurs of Greatness, is that most people, when they think about how we can fix agriculture, food system, think about land, tractors, irrigation system, warehouses, physical things, everything's expensive things. And for us, yes, that matter. But what we've learned working with entrepreneurs across the Caribbean and West Africa, the most valuable part of any agricultural business in the field is the knowledge layer on top of it. Just like an example, a farm in Jamaica grows Scotch bonnet peppers, beautiful world-class peppers, but it sells them fresh at the local market for, as I said, 10 cents on one dollars of the fast at the final value. Now imagine you have a food scientist in St. Lucia, in Accra, Ghana, that has developed a natural fermentation process that transformed those same peppers into a shelf-stable outsourced with 24-month shelf life. No preservative, no artificial ingredients, certified for export to the US and to the EU. That process is intellectual property. It's a recipe, a method, a know-how that can be written down, protected, licensed, and sold. So if that St. Lucian or Ghanaian food scientist, this licenses a process to a Jamaican producer, or to 10 of them, or to hundreds of them, she earns a licensing fee without shipping a single bottle. And the Jamaican producers now make a premium product, both party wins, and the value stay in the region. So this is for us the trade corridor that we're talking about today, and a great example, I think, implementation of what was just described before by the previous panelists, where both party wins, no shipping containers involved, only knowledge, and all the value stays in the region. And it works in both directions. A Caribbean startup that has built a digital platform to connect smallholder farmers to urban buyers. That software can be licensed to a cooperative in Senegal or Cote d'Ivoire in 3 months, not 6 years, because software doesn't need a chip. We just need a Wi-Fi connection, a licensing agreement. And so that's the opportunity for us that we're seeing at EOG, and it's largely untapped. And so what EOG does, and just before, but we had already some key figures on that. Our focus is on West Africa and the Caribbean and the diaspora, these two regions in the US, the North America, Canada, and the EU. And when you look at that, you have a combined market of 500 million people, with 25 million of them from the diaspora in the US and the EU. And again, IP software lets you reach all of them without a single shipping container. And so what EOG is doing is that we're a community-based venture builder. So we support, and invest in early stage agribusiness in the Caribbean and West Africa that are building exactly the kind of knowledge-based, licensable, scalable solution that I explained just before. It's not a charity. It's not a grant program. We're an accelerator and investment fund, and for us, the difference matters because we're here to build business that lasts. And you can think of our accelerator as a structured bootcamp for agribusiness innovators. If you have an idea, a prototype, an early stage agribusiness, whether it's a software tools for farmers, a new processing technique, traceability system, logistic solution, market access platform. So we want to hear from you. And how it works in practice is that we open application. We're currently launching today the application for this. Just to know for reference, we're supported by IDB Lab, the EU, the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States in that program. Currently finalizing a memorandum of MOU with the International Trade Center, same thing. So we can do this connection in an easier way between Africa and the Caribbean. And so from those applications, we select a cohort of startups that have access to the platform. We work with them intensively. They have access to a few modules, to build a value proposition, etc. And we select the best of them, 10 best of them that we connect then after to our network across the Caribbean, West Africa, the diaspora markets in the US, in Europe, etc. And importantly, it's not just, as we say, like capacity building. We invest in the best of these companies. And so we have a fund, the Ageries B2B fund, that deploys capital in 2 stages. First one, 30,000 check, equity investment. So with shareholders with you, normal shares, no preferred shares, etc. Real money. And we connect that to a network of experts that we have vetted to help you implement the strategy. That could be ever on business development, technical development, research. We built a partnership with universities, research centers in the Caribbean, in the US, in Europe, in Africa, business partners in Africa, same thing. And the strongest company, most of the time, 4 out of the 10 that will receive the 30,000, we invest up to 300,000 US in this company. And so to put that in perspective, if you're sitting here today with an agribusiness idea and you're wondering how you got from concept to company, this is a structured, funded pathway to do exactly that. And so what kind of startups we're looking for? 3 examples. A startup that has developed a low-cost solar powered cold storage unit that can be deployed on a farm or at a village market. The unit itself might not be the product. The product for us is the design of the solution, the subscription model that might come with it, the data platform that manages it, and farmers or processors might pay a monthly fee to access the storage as a service. The startups on the IP, the software, the model, but the storage itself can be owned by the community and supported for us, and it can be replicated in Trinidad or in Togo without really the need to build big facilities, etc. Second example, food tech company that has cracked a formulation for cassava-based flavors that meets European Union food safety standards and can substitute wheat flour in industrial baking. That formulation is a patent, can be licensed to bakeries in Dominica, in New York, in Ghana. Every license generates revenue, still no shipping, no warehouse, no logistic headache. For example, digital marketplace that connects certified organic smallholder farmers in the Eastern Caribbean directly to restaurant groups and hotels chains in the region, cutting out 4 layers of intermediaries, doubling the farmer's margin. That platform, once validated in Barbados, for example, can be white labeled and licensed to a cooperative in Senegal 3 months later. These are not really hypothetical. These are the kinds of businesses that exist, that are built right now, mostly in small silos, because most of the innovators are building for their markets and not thinking about it globally, or even some people already involved in agribusiness value chains that might not feel like the innovators are building solutions for their own operations, but over will need the same thing. And so we're trying to identify that to help them scale and have a much broader impact while generating revenue. And one condition that is really important for us is that, and that is not negotiable, I want to be really transparent because it was, I think, made us a little bit different from conventional investors, that every company we back must demonstrably return value to the community it serves. Caribbean or West Africa or other places. The community is not just the customer, it's the investor, the experts, and the owner. We're not here to build the next extractive model with a different flag. We are here to build businesses that make the communities themselves wealthier, more resilient, and more sovereign. And so concrete actions, something very direct. So if you're an entrepreneur in the room or you know entrepreneur in the room, you're from the Caribbean, you're from West Africa, even if the focus for this cohort is mostly in the Caribbean, you're working on something in agribusiness, you want to apply to our program, not next month, it's open now. The earlier you can apply, the better. You don't need to have a finished product. You don't need to have revenue. You need to have a real problem you're solving, a real community you're serving, and the drive to build something that lasts. If you're not a startup somewhere yourself, but you know someone who is a cousin who has been processing moringa in her kitchen for 3 years and doesn't know how to scale it, a friend who built a farm management app but cannot find investors, share this with them. You have the QR code, you have the URL, the link to apply, can add it in the chat too. And so, yeah, what I want you to live with, for too long, value created in our soils or forest or ocean or kitchen has been packaged and sold back to us at a premium by someone else. Now, I think the knowledge, the brand, the margin need to be owned by us. And so that's what EOG is building, the infrastructure to reverse that flow, not through protest, not through policy alone, but through business, through investment, through the intellectual property and the know-how that our entrepreneurs are building right now. And so, as I said, the applications are open, capital is ready, and the corridor between Africa and the Caribbean is real. It's waiting for entrepreneurs in this room to walk through it. Thank you. Thanks to Caribbean Women in Trade for the opportunity to present that. You're the first one to know about it officially. We're launching that with you first, and there will be public communication in the coming days. And then happy to answer your questions. In the networking session.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. You see, this webinar is fruitful. So they're giving you the theoretical, they're explaining the practical, they're explaining the opportunities that exist because we want to increase the trade and the network between Africa and the Caribbean. So thank you so much to that, Sebastian. So we are at the end of the 3 formal presentations. I am Latoya Roberts-Summers, and I was your moderator today.